And now to the war in Europe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, had a close call yesterday. A Russian missile exploded just a few hundred meters away from where their convoy was. President Zelensky and Prime Minister Mitsotakis were in the port city of Odesa where the attack took place. In fact, multiple explosions were reported just 500 meters away from where the two leaders were. The Russian attack killed at least 5 people and left several wounded. Both President Zelensky and Prime Minister Mitsotakis described their narrow escape.
I think that Kyriakos and me did not only hear it, but we saw the missile strike. You see, with whom we are dealing, they don't care where they strike.
We were at the port of Odesa and President Zelensky and his staff gave us a tour, explaining to us on the one hand the importance of the port for Ukraine's exports, and on the other hand showing us the significant damage this critical infrastructure has suffered. Then we heard some sirens, and shortly after, as we were getting into our cars, we heard a big explosion.
Now, President Zelensky frequently makes these high-risk trips to the front lines along with other European leaders. However, yesterday's attack was one of the closest calls for the Ukrainian leader. The Greek Prime Minister was shaken by the near miss and called it intense while urging for more attention to the war in Ukraine.
And I think this is one more reason why all European leaders should come to Ukraine. Because it is one thing to see, to hear the description from the mass media or from President Zelensky with whom we regularly communicate, and it is completely different to experience the war firsthand.
The European Union has called the Russian missile strike a vile attack. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry said that the strike had achieved its target and the intended object had been hit. However, the near miss did not deter President Zelensky or Prime Minister Mitsotakis from carrying out their duties. In fact, the Greek leader has promised to work even more extensively with Kyiv after seeing the Russian threat firsthand.
The main subject of our conversations with the Prime Minister of Greece was, of course, our defense, our capabilities to actively defend ourselves, our air defenses. This is an absolute priority. In our conversations with the allies, we talk about air defense systems, about production of weapons, and there is enough possibility to produce defensive weapons in the world. Weapons which we need here to save people's lives. Decisions need to be made now, not sometime in the future, but now, for people who suffer from terrorist attacks day and night.
Now, the Russian missile strike comes just one day after Ukraine successfully sunk a Moscow ship in the Black Sea. Was this President Vladimir Putin's idea of retaliation, or was this a larger warning to President Zelensky? In either case, it looks like the war in Ukraine is in fact far from over.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.